We're now going to let our panelists introduce themselves. I will ask a few starting questions to kick us off, and then we'll open up for questions from the audience. So let's get started from my left to right. That means starting with Brian. I don't know if you all see it the same way, but Brian, please introduce yourself.
Hey, Jeremy. And thank you to TeenTechSF for having this panel, and thanks for inviting me to be on it. But my name is Brian. I am a student at Make School. I went to community college last year. Before that, I was in a band for about 5 years, and I'm new to coding as of before joining Make School. And I feel like the amount that I've learned in this short amount of time has been fantastic, and I can't wait to talk more about it.
Thanks, Brian. Marissa?
Hey everyone, my name is Marissa Bridgman. I also attend Make School. I also went to community college before this. And before that, I have a few years of experience. I did computer science in high school, but I felt like the kind of like the same as Jeremy, like the curriculum that was being taught just didn't work for me. So I learned a lot more in these past couple of months than I have in the past like 4 years. So, yeah.
Awesome. And where in the country are you from, Marissa?
I'm from Oakland, California.
Awesome. Bay Area. And DR?
Yeah, what's up, guys? How's it going? My name's DR. I'm from the Bay Area, from the East Bay, and I'm a back-end web concentration, second year at Make School.
Awesome. So the first question that I'm gonna ask the crowd is, what, we oftentimes we hear stories about the first time people have coded. I want to hear about the first time that you actually were able to code enough that you built something. So the first thing that you built with code that you're proud of, that first hacker story, I guess. And we'll start in opposite order. So DR, do you want to tell us first?
Yeah, sure. So in high school, I was part of the robotics club, and I coded up a little program for a robotic car for when, if it hits something, it'll stop, it'll back up, and then move to the opposite direction. It hit the opposite direction of the object that it hit. And that was in a low-level C program, C language. So that was pretty cool. It was my first ever program.
Thanks, DR. Marissa?
Yeah, so in high school, we had tracks, and I was in the computer science track. And I was lucky enough that my school actually partnered with Intel. So I did an internship there in their Santa Clara office. And we used Arduinos to code mini cars and use like different sensors to sense like when it's close to something. We use like a cool Bluetooth feature. And yeah, that was my first time where I really like was proud of what I coded.
How about you, Brian?
Man, the first thing that I ever coded was this last July, and it was with the Google Computer Science Summer Institute, which I got through Make School. And I made like a web app that it would give you questions about different products, and you could select a product, and then depending on what your answers were, depended on like your socially and environmentally consciousness score. It was a really neat little thing, and we did it with Glitch. And if any of you have coded in Glitch before, you know that is not the best choice for a web app. So we kind of had to hack it to simulate a web app experience. So that was pretty cool.
Awesome. What Brian is referring to is a summer program that we run with Google for students who are incoming first-year students at Make School. And Google runs this like pre-orientation program with us, which is pretty cool. So you all heard now the kind of the starting point of like what that first program was. I want to hear now what is either an exciting thing you're working on today or some aspiration of thing that you know that you will work on sometime in the next year or two. Like what's that idea that is coming to reality now or that you really want to see come to reality? And this time we'll start with Marissa.
Yeah, so last year I met a peer that I did internship with a few years ago, and we came together to build an app for minority college students. we felt that a lot of dropout rates were because people either didn't have access to resources or didn't know how to ask for them. So we wanted to create a platform where they can come and ask each other, and they can also do it like anonymously so that they can really be honest about what they need help with. And that's something that I've been working on ever since then.
Awesome. What are you building it in?
We're using React Native.
Nice. Brian, how about you?
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
What is the dream idea?
Oh, the thing I want to create next. I was wrapped up in Marissa's answer. I totally blanked on the question.
Shit.
So the main problem for me is I have too many ideas, and I'm just around too many people who are working on some interesting things. So one of the professors at Make School, actually, Browse, has got some ideas for a data science project that I might be helping them out with. So that would be really cool. And then another professor has an idea for achievement badges for the school. So we've been working on that to try and get that working. But I think diving really deeply into like machine learning and artificial intelligence is going to be something I'm very much looking forward to doing in the near future. And that's going to be pretty interesting. So I'm excited for all those sorts of projects.
I will share for the benefit of our audience that the app that got the most superfan users out of Make School history that we know of was an app that was actually built by a pair of students for the high school that they had gone to. And they had that captive audience of students who like immediately you knew exactly what features they wanted because you went to that high school, you know, schedule a sports game, spirits events, homework postings, et cetera, et cetera. And they just got huge usage percentage across the whole high school base. And while that's never going to become $1 billion startup, it's such a good way to practice building a great product. And so you'll notice with Marissa's project and also with some of Brian's aspirations, they relate to the experience that they're having now and how to make that experience better. And I think that's something that is an important consideration for you all as you ideate how to benefit your communities. You're going through COVID just like everyone else. And sometimes the idea that serves your immediate needs may be the one that really gets out there. DR, do you want to share with us your either something really cool you're working on or your dream?
Yeah, so something that I'm working on right now is for one of my classes, SPD 2.1, I believe, where we work with an industry partner. We're on a team of 6. We're building an application that scans your throat, and using machine learning, computer vision, it'll detect if you have if your throat's bacterial, meaning like if you have strep throat or not. So yeah, and I'm building the portion where the patient's scans of the throat could be sent to a doctor, and I'm building the web application for the doctor so the doctor can view it, highlight it, and make some notes and determine if they have strep throat or not.
Whoa, like, so this is like a real thing.
Yeah, this is a real thing. Yeah, a real industry partner who had the idea, and we're just building it from the start.
Wow, I didn't know about that. That is so cool. Yeah, medicine is being revolutionized by CS, which is pretty cool. So before I have an infinity of questions that I can ask. I'm going to ask one that was suggested to us with the TeenTechSF crew that might be of interest to the audience. Then I'm going to open it up to the audience. So the question is, how has COVID affected your learning journey, and what have been your coping strategies to stay productive, given that you're studying from home? We'll start with you, Brian.
Well, so I was in community college when the whole COVID thing happened, and one thing I really hope that people are very intentional about, especially when they're picking a college or picking what they want to do after high school, is making sure that wherever you go has a very good online presence and they're set up for the online experience. Because I experienced both. At community college, they switched us over to online, and it was not the same learning experience at all. There was no interaction with the teacher. There was little to no interaction with other students. And that's kind of like how I am. I like being in class and talking to other people and making comments. So when I went to Make School, for instance, I felt like Make School had a really great setup for online, and it seemed like they just hit the ground running. But whatever school you end up going to, I would try and make sure that they are really set up for your success in an online environment, using as many of the different tools that you can possibly use, and making sure that you have that interaction with other students and you get some of that college experience, because who knows how long we might have to be remote. And that's just, I think, one of the most important considerations is just looking into that aspect for sure.
Thanks, Brian. Marissa, do you want to share with us some strategies that you've used to stay productive, while studying remotely?
Yeah, some strategies I've taken is just at least like if I'm coding all day, I make sure to take breaks pretty frequently. Walk around like either the neighborhood or just around your house. And music is a pretty good one as well. Or just whatever like stress reliever that you have. I would say really take time to focus on those because it is a pretty stressful time. And then also just staying online and trying to like chat with my peers online. That's helped with like the social aspect because I'm a pretty social person as well. So that's helped a lot.
Awesome. And how about you, DR?
Yeah, for me, learning like at home during COVID, there's some pros and cons to it. A con is you don't have that interaction with your peers or instructor if you have any questions or if you need some advice. But some pros like that I take away from is like you have your sit, you have a place to stay and just code and focus. So you don't have to move from like one place to another at like campus. You just have one spot to a clean desk and eliminate all the distractions and you just go to work. So I think I take advantage of that.
Awesome. On my end, the biggest challenge is actually making sure that I stay disciplined on my computer and that I use my computer for work. When I'm going to use it for something else like Reddit or YouTube or gaming, that it's not in the same flow. And so using that upfront time investment in a moment of clarity that you have where you're feeling really motivated, that we all get those kind of moments where you have that burst of energy to invest in finding the software, depending on your operating system, that is going to block the things that your future self is gonna get distracted with. I think is a huge part of this game, because frankly, we all think that we're smart. We all think that we can multitask the lecture and also have another tab, Reddit open or whatever it is. And the reality of the matter is we are going to be outcompeted at every step of the way by those students who stay focused. I will be outcompeted by the founders who stay focused. The students will be outcompeted by those who stay focused. It accumulates over time. You don't notice it in the moment because, yeah, you multitasked and you're smart. And the question was, and the test was just multiple choice. You kind of figured it out. But like the reality is you're doing yourself a disservice. So that's my biggest piece of advice. Let's open it up to questions from the audience, if any.
Well,
I can always
while we have these questions rolling in, I want to add one more tip that I found pretty useful.
And audience members, you can just type up your questions to the in the chat. And if it's something very Make School specific, we might just answer it directly. But if it's a question for the students, I'll just read it out loud. So feel free to just type it if you don't feel comfortable speaking out. Sorry.
You ready for my tip?
I'm ready for your tip. Hit.
It's a good one. So I try to keep my work area and my play area completely separate. So if I'm on my computer and I'm going to be like on YouTube and doing stuff like that, I have a different room that I do that in. But when it's work mode, like I put on my glasses and get my hat and then I'm totally zoned in and ready for work. That's keeping that separation, I think, is useful psychologically.
Awesome.
Make sure you eat a good breakfast too. Most important meal of the day.
Wasn't that the cereal lobby that invented that one? I don't know. I hear people telling me their biggest secret is they skip breakfast and they fast, and it's super important. I don't know who to believe anymore. Alrighty, do we have any questions?
I've heard that too.
Do we have any questions from the audience? Going once, going twice. If not, I'm gonna feed another question. Tuition is, we have a kind of an all-in price. You will pay it over time to, more or less in the first or second year, depending on whether you take a higher course load the first year or second year. But the all-in price for the 4-year degree is $70,000. That's 70. It's not 70K a year. It's just 70K total. That comes out to typically 40K in your first year, 30K in your second year. And as a reminder, Make School has this crazy thing where it's actually a 4-year degree, but there's a 2-year pathway to get it by studying intensely. And most of our students are on that pathway. So in 2 calendar years, fall, spring, summer of study, fall, spring, summer of interning, 70K tuition all in, there you go. And I'll put that in the chat. Brian is asking, what does a typical schedule look like for a student? So let's first get the second year student perspective, DR, because I know that you're doing this industry collaboration and all that. So give us a sense of what it's like now, and then we'll get the first year student perspective.
Yeah, so for me, as for a second year, in the morning, I try to spend at least like an hour to either job searching, internship searching, or like trying to create connections. And then obviously have lectures for classes. And then for the rest of the time, I'm probably just coding. So it's a lot of coding, a little bit of trying to prepare yourself for the internship and job searching, technical interviewing, or lectures.
That sounds actually like probably similar to the answer that others will give. So if Marissa and Brian, if you don't mind, we'll skip to the next question, and I'll give a spin on it. Marissa, what is the main difference between a Make School lecture and a traditional college lecture?
Yeah, the main difference is that there's a lot of lab time in our lectures. So in a traditional lecture, like the teacher is talking for the entire time, and it gets really tiring. But at Make School, they lecture for maybe half of the time, not even, and then the whole time after that is just lab time for you to work on your project or the assignment that they assign.
Yeah, so we're really, really big on active learning and making sure that students learn by doing. Brian, do you want to share with us more generally? Oh, actually, class sizes. Brian, what are your class sizes like?
Oh man, class sizes. I think the biggest class I had reached around 30 people. That was probably the biggest. Average, maybe around 20 or so, I would say. Which is much different than most colleges on average.
We do have some classes that go into the like 50 student range, but then those classes are structured in a way where we break them out into subgroups using Zoom breakout groups nowadays to try and keep the sort of more intimate factor there. And then we'll have TAs assigned to different or assistant professors assigned to different breakout rooms. I'm gonna ask a question that has to do with the theme of the TeenTechSF event. If you were to build something at a hackathon, hypothetically, this weekend, and you were to build it for the sake of your community in times of COVID, off the top of your head or pre-computed if you already have ideas sitting there, hit me, whoever's ready to talk first of the students, what ideas do you have of what you would build for your community in times of COVID?
If I was going to build something right off the top of my head, the first thing that popped in my head was something that my local community can use that's very simple and easy to see. So maybe like a web application of where you could locally in my area find COVID related resources, or even the things maybe like a second or third order effect from COVID, like food banks locations and different clinics and things of that nature. Just a simple web app you could put in and type in whatever you want and it pops up on a map. Not that hard.
Yeah, I think what comes first to mind for me is just having a map of like where the most cases have been in your area, and try to like avoid those areas, because I know a lot of people still want to go outside and have some kind of normalcy. So if they can see like, oh well, there's not many people here, it's low risk here, we can go to this park or whatever. yeah, that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah, for me, I'm a big sneakerhead. So this is like more of like a passion project for me. So there's this website or company called StockX where they determine the average price of like a Jordan or like a Nike shoe based off a bunch of like data points. And you could like buy and sell you could buy and sell shoes on the website and the app too. So they have this unofficial API where you could automatically place a bid for a shoe or sell a shoe. So the idea I have is uh, you can input a price, a willing price for a shoe, and then once that shoe reaches like goes down to that price, you'll get like a notification, and it'll notify you like, oh, this shoe went down to like $250. Would you like to place a bid? And when you click on the button, it'll automatically place a bid for you.
Doesn't
So that's
sound super COVID and community related, but it sounds very, very passion related.
yeah, it was more yeah, like a passion thing, yeah, for me.
I guess that's the other side of the coin is that in times of COVID, it's probably worth cutting yourself some slack for just working on stuff that you enjoy working on, because productivity begets productivity, and doing something is better than doing nothing. And so if your form of self-care is to indulge yourself in the kind of the projects that are not about changing the world but about making you happier, that's probably totally fine, because tis the season to be staying, got to look fly during these trying times. Exactly. Exactly, Brian. Let's try for one or two more audience questions, or if not, I will fill in with maybe one last question before we break. Come on, one more audience question. One more. All right, panelists, do you have something that, this is not a hypothetical, you are in a room full of high school students and middle school students who've chosen to attend this event. Tell us your perspective on the value of peer mentorship and maybe why you chose to volunteer for this hackathon in the first place.
I know for me, especially being new to coding, I don't know. I feel like the peer mentor might have been doing more code than me at the very beginning, or at least I was asking them all of the simple questions. I mean, even Marissa was peer mentoring me the other day with one of our final projects. It's just so important to getting unstuck. And I tried to learn by myself, just sitting behind a computer, doing whatever Code Academy or Treehouse learning tutorial. But it's really difficult to get yourself unstuck when you do get stuck. And having a peer mentor, just another person who knows what it is that you're doing, who knows how to code, can be super valuable and so useful, to the fact where like 15 minutes of a peer mentor can save you 3 or 4 hours of trying to debug something yourself because you're missing a bracket or something like that. So yeah, super valuable. And that's why I wanted to do it. That was me the other day. I was missing a hashtag, and for an hour I was looking for it. Yeah.
I know, right? That's like the story of software engineering. But here's the thing: it doesn't have to be that way. Peer mentorship is the way to make coding not about finding that like one dangling hashtag. How about you, Marissa or DR? What is your take on the value of peer mentorship and why you're here?
Yeah, I definitely think it's super important, and I think it benefits both ways. I think when I was helping Brian with one of the projects, like it just helped solidify the knowledge that I had in teaching someone else what I learned. And that's the main reason why I volunteered today. Just one, to give back to the community, but also to really solidify like my knowledge. And I think you can also make friends along the way. I probably wouldn't have known Brian had I not like helped him that one day. So I think it's a very good way to be social in a non-social world right now. But also, yeah, just yeah.
100%. And I will say, having run this school for 8 years now, the students who mentor the most tend to be the strongest. And it's not, you can say correlation is not causation, but there is a causative factor. As you said, Marissa, there's value both ways. And actually mentoring others helps you solidify your own understanding and see the same concepts in new contexts. So then you've seen more of what can go wrong and you are better at getting it right. DR, how about you?
Yeah, so for me, I strongly believe that if you have the support and like a roadmap to success, that'll just make you more successful as a or as a computer science student or just in general. Yeah, so I want to provide students with support and also like a nice roadmap so they could max out their success.
So coincidentally, Make School students will be hanging out in the mentor channel on the Discord over the course of this hackathon. So peer mentorship being key and not spending too many cycles, especially during a hackathon, getting stuck trying to find that one dangling comma or bracket. Please feel free to come say hi in the hashtag mentor channel whenever you have a coding question. If you just want to chat, we always love making new connections. As Marissa says, it's a pretty asocial world these days. We are excited to talk to new people. And so, you know, one of the reasons that we have this crew of students who happen to be active in mentoring at Make School within our students is that they see the value in that. They want to bring you that value this weekend. And so please join us in that channel. So if anybody is interested in learning more about Make School specifically or wants to talk more generally about careers in computer science, you can always reach out to me, Jeremy, at makeschool.com, and I'm happy to introduce you to the right person in our team to have a follow-up conversation or just answer any kind of last questions you may have about the school. We are accepting applications for next fall, like colleges are. And if you want a place that is going to be good ROI and a good use of your time with really active learning, we are a great place for that. And our alums get jobs at Facebook and Apple and Google and NASA and Tesla and all these cool places hire from us now. So if those are your dreams, you can reach out. In the meantime, please come hang out on the Mentor channel. Thank you all so much for your time. And we're going to hand things back over to the TeenTechSF organizers. Thanks